Welcome guys, what's going on, and welcome back to European Qualifiers Hub. Today I have a non-football related video on this channel. I thought because the European Qualifiers are over, there won't be so much international football until Euro 2024. So I thought I'd just do a darts prediction. I've also been commenting on darts videos with this channel, so some people might actually have found this video from there. So yeah, that's why I'm uploading it here. I will predict the entire draw of the PDC World Darts Championship 2024. So it's a very long draw. Let's get right into it. Just to understand, these are the first round matches, and I will always predict them and then also the second round, so that we can immediately go to round 3, because I think it's faster. So I will say that Stowe Barnes, for example, I say that Stowe Barnes wins the opening match because we saw he's been performing great on stage. I've heard some say, okay, there might be an upset, and I agree there could be, but I will go with Bully Boy to win his first match, then to return after Christmas, and always the seeds are always at the top, of course. So I will directly predict round 2 as well, with every game. Mike the Decker against Dragutin Horvat. De Decker is of course the player on tour. However, I say Horvat can pull an upset, but only for one match. I say this match he gets it. De Decker, a pretty young player, but I say Rasma or Ramsa, I don't know, misspelled it. I say Rasma defeats him in round 2, because I think Horvat can have one good match, but 2, I believe Rasma will get the better of him. Next up, Zonneveld versus Webster. I mean, Webster was great in the 2-card holder qualifier, so I will go actually with him. Because I believe Zonneveld was not that convincing. Of course, here in the first round matches, the upper player always is the Pro Tour Order of Merit qualifier, the lower one is always international. So just but was Smith also to win this one. I will mostly let the seeds win actually. Here it's O'Connor clearly, because Patel is just a replacement Indian qualifier. But I don't see O'Connor getting the better of Chris Dobie, because Dobie seems to be performing good whenever it comes to major tournaments. So I don't know. Vanden Bogaert versus Tricol. The point is always with this kind of games, Vanden Bogaert has pressure, I believe, because Torkard, he wants to hold it, Tricol doesn't have one. But is that enough? I'd say still Vanden Bogaert wins. Nice name right there. Because he is the better player and Tricol is a debutant. But you have to factor that in, that some players are playing for the 2 card, of course, can also make them perform better, but pressure is always pretty heavy. But I don't think I need to explain much. Rob Cross has been getting fun majors in some majors, so I don't see Vanden Bogaert. Most of those players won't pull an upset, I think, including here, because the interesting thing is, I feel like most of the seeds who are like in pretty bad form have got some pretty fair opening matches. So no Littler, Van Veen. For seeds like Josie De Souza, Rasma, or also Van Dijvenbode. And I say De Souza wins against Adhouse. I say just Adhouse because 2-card holder, experienced player, he mostly gets to round 2. But I say De Souza can win because Adhouse just isn't the strongest competition. He doesn't play like to a very high level. He is a decent player, but I think if De Souza can pull at least some of the game off that we know he's able to play, he will win. So far I've always been letting the see through, but that's going to be the case, I think. I say Lannon defeats Bates. I'm mostly going also with the proto guy, but the real tough first round, people are mostly coming up at the bottom, and Clayton to win. I mean, Clayton and Ratajski are pretty stable players, but who do I let play Ratajski? I say Jamie Hughes, just because I think he edges it out over 5 sets. And then of course Ratajski to win. I mean, those seeds, they are just too stable for most of what's coming up, and I know it's sad mode, but I don't wanna say just because, oh, we need an upset somewhere, I'm going to say the seed loses, but there are going to be seeds losing. But Peter White won't be one of them. I say first, of course, Jim Williams is the clear favorite here, but I don't think Peter White actually will have a bad World Championship. At least he won't be going out in his first round. He has been inconsistent, but I mean, he's won a major also, European Dutch Championship. Right here, I think Zaganski. I don't know why he's spelled like this, but he wins since he's in good form from the Pro Tour. And Van Barneveld could be a potential slip up, but I mean, this Zaganski is, I believe it's the debutant, so I don't see him overtaking Barney. Barney is another one of those, but okay, first Campbell Alagan. I say Alagan. It's a 50-50 matchup for me, but I say Alagan because he can just, it's great for him to be at the World Championship, and he will just wants to have fun, perform, not win against James Wade, or he's way too constant of a player to lose against Alagan, and he's played very good. He's only been stopped by players like Humphreys and White and those kind of players in the last majors. Next up, okay, here we're going to see our first seed going out, and Gilding, I don't think he's one of the worst positions, but Littler is a young player who doesn't have the pressure of having to win to hold his tool card. I mean, Kist, I believe, doesn't have a tool card either, but Littler, I just see him defeating Kist because Kist also struggles with, I think, illness, and Gilding just isn't as explosive as Littler. And like I said, you see often the young players, they perform good at the Worlds because they don't have the pressure of having to hold their two cards. With young players as debutants is often different than with older players who aren't like the greatest talents like Zaganski. But it could all be wrong, but I'm just saying Littler wins. Here I'm saying, I don't know, I just go for Kshuk. Possibly not the favorite here, probably. Came East Europe qualifier, but I think that's a hard tournament. He's earned his place, but none of those would be stopping Goran Price. I think Mickey Mansell wins. And now that's something. Mickey Mansell, many players I think could beat Dolan that are in the first round. But I don't see Mansell beating him. I see Dolan because Dolan, he's not known for playing incredibly bad. He always gets some lags, and I don't think any of those will defeat him. They could, of course. And I also say that for Dirk van Dijvenbode. Keegan Brown was the last player of the Proto Order of Merit. Kruchmar came through the two-card holder qualifier, but I don't know, this is like pretty open. But Kruchmar is playing for two card, Brown isn't. I say Brown has less pressure, wins, but I see Dirk winning because I believe he will have like the. Uh, of course, it's hard to know how his shoulder is going to be with the injury, but I believe that he sees his chance of at least winning this his first match. I don't think he will go any farther. I can already spoil it. Uh, and here we have another Whitlock, one of the most dangerous players. Um, I think he beats out Nebrida, uh, but then plays against Anderson, one of the most informed seeds. I don't see winning this. I would see Whitlock winning against Divenboat, Dolan, some others, or other players, like some that will come up, but some of them I will of course see losing. But I just don't think the seeds, most of the seeds have got a draw where they are the clear favorites, because the good first round players, the informed first round players, um, or dangerous ones, have mostly been matched up with strong seeds. So I think there's always much potential for upset. Just think it's not that likely. Right here, Keen Berry or Reynaldo Rivera. I mean, for me it's Keen Berry, but any of those will have a hard time against MVG. Venstra was good at the Players Championship Finals, and Ben Robb hasn't won a game in I think the last two appearances. He always gets through, I feel, but I don't think he wins. I think Venstra is too consistent for Rob. Then I think Heibrechts is too constant for Venstra. Heibrechts, this guy, he doesn't play like the highest averages or the best game anymore, but you rarely see him completely choking. He beat Gervin Price at the Players Championship Finals, who was playing bad. Beat Peter White last year at the Worlds. He's just a player when his opponent is not playing consistent like 90 average or such, Hybrid will just win because he's a very consistent player, and that's why he's in the top 32, I believe. Also, um, moving on, Slevin beats Hampel because Hampel has pressure for Turkard. I know Hampel won last time, but I wouldn't see him against Dimitri. I think Dimitri uh, has some form, but Steve Bunting, I'd argue, even more so. So this would be an interesting, because I see Stephen Bunting winning, regardless of. But Ryan Joyce, of course, semi-finalist at Players Championship Finals. But Bunting too strong. Joyce could beat a lot of players right now. I would even say he could beat like Heibrechts or Schindler, maybe Nob, but not Bunting at the moment. Norbert, on the other hand, has, Muramasa wasn't good at the Grand Slam. I think he plays Scott Williams and wins comfortably. I don't think they will have much trouble. Watimena, I think Sherrock can beat him, and I'd say Sherrock. I don't think she would be. Is she the favorite against Watimena? I'd say 50-50, but I'd argue against most, or of course, or definitely against a lot of proto qualifiers, she wouldn't be the favorite. But Watimena, not that consistent. I mean, if Sherrock can pull off her finishing, which she has often been proving, her doubles are often giving her the edge in like televised tournaments. I think she can beat her. But I see Schindler still going through. Just because, of course, the crowd will be against him. But we will be talking about another German player who the crowd will be against sometime. I think he won't be too bad. Lukeman or Pooh, Lukeman. Doesn't need much explanation. I think Dan Hatter, pretty clear for me. Now that's an interesting bracket. Woodhouse, I believe, is in better form. I mean, Van Peer was fine enough at the Grand Slam, but not that amazing. And but I could see Woodhouse even winning against Rock. I won't put it. I don't. I hesitate to predict many seeds going out. I think you see, but I just think Rock is still the favorite, so I'm going with Rock. But we will see some seeds going up now. Don't don't be worried. Um, of course, not Luke Humphries. I believe he eats wherever he gets. Yeah, that's that case. Um, and now we have Petrescu against Suzuki. Now the point of Suzuki is, I mean, she's a woman like Greaves, but she's not English, and she's not as dangerous as Greaves. The crowd will be against Petrescu, but I believe he wins because he's just a better player. He can pull it off, and then I think that will give him a boost, and he will defeat Ritz. Also, I think last year we only had 3 seeds losing in in their first game, so maybe I'm basing it a bit off that, to be honest. Because the other years there were more seeds going out, but last year not too many, and I see, but it depends on the draw, and with the draw I see that I don't see too many upsets, or like to put it different, I don't see too many seeds who are clearly not the favorites. Like I said, Barney, Van Davenbode, and those players, most of them have a decent enough draw. Uh, yes, Van Dongen, Penhall. I mean, it's just safer going with the two card holder, not beating Calendar, not consistent enough. Ian White has had a good year. I don't think he will be having too much trouble, and I also think he has a chance against Seoul. But Seoul, I mean, no. Seoul has been in, what I say, good form. He's played the Grand Slam. He wasn't too bad there. And Ian White never has performed well on the stage. I don't see him now performing good now that he's out the top 32. So I don't see him beating Seoul. And now we've got another one like Ricky Evans. Will breathe through that, I believe. But not against Aspinall. I don't see him. And I say here we have a lot of strong first round starters, but still I don't see Evans going through because Aspinall, I mean, he has kind of has to prove, not to prove himself, but we've seen that he's a good player. He's performed well. It's not that he's been terrible since the match play. With Gurney it's a different one though, but do I see Beaton? Yeah, I think Beaton wins that, but do I see Beaton really edging out Gurney? I honestly... Well, that's one... Okay, but Gurney has been going out a lot last year, so I say Beaton actually does it, because Beaton wasn't too bad against Anderson, if I remember, played championship final. And Beaton is experienced. I think he can pull it off, because Gurney is pretty weak, but that's another close matchup. And Menzies Rusty Jake is very close. Very, very close. But I say... I believe Menzies is not playing for Turkard and Rusty Jake is. So I say just Menzies has less pressure. Chizzy... yeah, Chizzy wins that one. Chizzy has been pretty good. And now we've got our fourth and final seed going out, Gian van Veen. Wasn't good at the Grand Slam, but I say, like with Littler, he doesn't have the pressure. And Clemens, yeah, he was good at the Players Championship finals, but I don't think that means that he's like now the favorite. I say that's another 50-50 matchup, but Van Veen is just kind of just cruising through darts a bit at the moment. So, yeah, I say he beats out Clement. Now up to round number 3 we go, with the bully boy winning against Rasma, because Rasma isn't in that good form. He only got very tightly into the top 32. Was Smith, I think it's going to be Dobie, and I'm going to put Dobie here because he performs well in majors. Was Smith though difficult because he sometimes plays amazing, but he also has been losing out to Dirk van Dijvenbode 2 years in a row. Won't happen this time, but I mean, I think he's just not. He has his scoring power, but when it comes to really uh, having like hitting the decisive doubles, I believe Dobie has the edge. Um, yeah, that's very simple. Rob Cross wins against the Sousa. Clayton against Ratajski. They're very good players, not in the best of form. I could even see Ratajski pulling an upset. Upset is based on the ranking position, but I say Clayton does it because Clayton, uh, he's not bad because he didn't win like a lot this year, and he won the World Cup with Price. So I think Clayton Cross, uh, is a, I think he's right now better than Ratajski, but Ratajski always somebody who can pull off a great game at the World Championship, of course. And White, I know many people say White will go out early, but I think the draw is decent enough. Jim Williams not too much now. Barney has not been playing that well. Barney could win, but I don't see it happening right now. I have said last year, yeah, well, if he came off the semi-final of the Grand Slam, but he didn't this year. He didn't even qualify that year, so, you know, why to go through? And I don't see Littler edging out Wade. It's James Wade. You see the way Wade performed against The Rock. And do I think Littler can play as good as Rock? Yeah, maybe not that the same level, but close to it. But it's set mode. In set mode, you can win 2 legs, where Wade is like on 240 when you finish, but he would still edge you out. Wade is way more dangerous in set mode than he already is in leg mode because it's just more decisive. He can just win deciders all the time and beat you 4-0 despite it being a close game when you look at the legs. So I don't see Littler beating out Wade because that's kind of like his natural habitat, set mode. A Price to beat out Dolan, I mean Price was bad at the PC finals, but before that you could even say he was the best player in the group stage, maybe alongside Humphries in the Grand Slam, and was only stopped by Anderson. He might have won the tournament, frankly, if he could have beaten Anderson, because Humphries also only closely beat Anderson. So those are like, and yeah, I think we will definitely see Price Anderson. I think they have both easy paths. Anderson has maybe the easiest with Dijvenbode's form right now. I say he wins, but doesn't really matter who wins those games here, because I think this matchup, Price Anderson, will be a quarterfinal. Yeah. What? No, sir. 1 of 16. I'm sorry. That's 1 of 16, right? Yeah, 1-4 is 1 of 16. Van Gerven beats Heilbrecht. I don't think he will be able to keep up. And this is one of the closest matchups. I think it will be big. And I think it will be a win Am I going to say Dimitri? I just have that feeling, you know, because Bunting might play better overall, but if Dimitri pulls off the decisive, I'm going to go with Dimitri. And I think Van Gerben will like that, but I think this match, there are always these matches, some players, you know, they're on paper and with the performance about the whole year, not like the favorites, but if you see the matchup, I can just see Dimitri beating out Bunting, especially because it's the big stage. Um, and Norbert Schindler could go either way, but I think Norbert is, I mean, he's the top 10 player. And he wasn't terrible uh, in the last month, so no, Norbert clear favorite. Schindler is, I don't think he has it in him right now. Though I think Norbert is not that high danger, but with that draw, he's got also kind of a nice draw. Hatter walk, uh, and I actually go with Hatter. Yeah, I'm saying all of those youngsters, they don't go too far, but I don't, because Hatter, I believe he can just win everything, not every game, but he's just a player. He has the ability to always get the darts and the double and the triple, um, and I think Walk may struggle with the decisive moments again. We've seen Hatter in the past doing the same. It's kind of like with Dimitri Bunting with that game. And I know I'm mostly letting the top seed win, but they're not always the favorite, of course. I would say those are 50-50 games. So I'm not just going after who's the top seed, don't worry. um, but it's still kind of a pattern. But doesn't matter. Humphries, I don't think there are many players who can be dangerous to Humphries, but we will talk more about that later. Cullen or Searle, also a 50-50 game. I'm inclined to go for Searle. I don't know why, but I will do it. But I don't know. This could go either way, and I believe the winner will go out to Humphries anyway. Aspinall beaten. Yeah, Aspinall. He is not bad. He's also a top 10 player, and he can pull it off. And beaten, especially. Though I also think Gurney wouldn't be that much of a problem. And now, I don't know if Chisnall will lose out against Van Veen. Okay, no. You know what? I say Van Veen. Because Chizzy has more pressure to prove himself on stage. Just that. But many 50-50 games. I believe if all the seeds go through, we'll see some amazing games. Maybe not so many upsets, but close games, tight games. And I'm all up for it. And I'm also all up for Smith against Doby. And I say Smith slips. I don't think he's going to defend the title, and I don't think he's going to go too far. Why I say Doby? Well, I think that Smith, his previous opponents weren't that much of an opposition compared to Doby, and Doby is someone who can take advantage of Smith just choking, and I believe he will choke in some instances, and Doby can take advantage of that. Yeah, next up, Cross wins against Clayton. He's just been getting the better results, and he has shown, like in the Grand Slam, when the draw's on his side, he can go very far, and he will, I think, also in the World Championship. Now, I would love to see this bracket having like all the favorites go through, because I think Anderson also is the clear favorite right here. Those matchups, they would be amazing. This would be like the greatest quarterfinals No, 1 of 16 ever. And I said White isn't too well. If we go after form, I know White has beaten Wade in the uh, European Championship, but he hasn't done that much since then, and Wade has. Wade only got stopped by Humphries, the best, most informed player right now. And if White doesn't find the doubles, it's game over for him, I believe, because yeah, White, of course, he's better in scoring, but not. He's not a player who will, like, in his current form, give Humphries no chance to throw. Wade, no chance to throw a double. So I say Wade goes through, and I say he will play Price because I would love Gary to go through, and I don't think you can judge too much based on his performance at Players Championship Finals. But I think the same about Price. And Price, I think it will be narrow. Those two have kind of like a friendly rivalry right now. I think he will just want to get back at Anderson for beating him in the Grand Slam, and I think he can do that. Tight game though. Those are many 50-50 games. That's not a 50-50 game. That's Van Gerven. Yeah, you could say he balled the Player Championship final, but I mean that was Humphries. He almost lost against Banting, sure. But even with Banting, I would say it's Van Gerven probably going through. Not too sure though. Uh, I think, like I said, Banting is more of a threat, but I think just in that matchup, that Dimitri will get the edge. And I mean, last year he lost 6-0, so I don't think it will be too close. I think Van Gerven will wanna win this World Championship very, very badly. He also kind of needs the prize money. And he will play against Hedda, because you just see more of Hedda than Norbert right now. It's also, it could go either way, but Hedda just on stage has been the better performer. I don't think I need to explain this one. I don't think, frankly, anyone in this bracket can stop Humphries from reaching the final. The only one who can stop Humphries is Humphries himself, which could always happen. I don't believe it will. And he'll play Aspinall. I don't think Van Veen will go that far. I think Aspinall has a nice draw, like, also, if it's Gurney, which it might also be, it's always like going a step up. This might be Chisnell, might even be Clemens, but I think he can just win all his games, not like with huge margins, but comfortably. And if he pulls off his ability, he will be in the quarters against Humphries. So now we have just 8 players left. And I said Quartz, he has a good draw, and I mean, it's not like Smith would be the clear favorite against Quartz as of now, but I believe Quartz will be fine with him losing, because Dobie is someone who can get beaten by Quartz, and someone who is the favorite against him. Quartz would be the favorite, and Quartz would win, I think. And the draw Quartz has, it's not that much of a surprise when you look at the draw. I believe many people have Quartz in the semis just because of his draw, not because he's top 4 right now. He's up there and when it comes to form, but I don't think clearly top 4, but the draw is good for him. And Go and Price, if he is here and that draw, and if he plays the way he has played in the Grand Slam group stage, he will beat Wade. You cannot really destroy Wade, it's not that much possible, but I just think he will have a lead that is too high when it comes to scoring. And Goen Price is someone who isn't that yeah, he has his moments where it chokes on double, but they're not as frequent as with a player like White. And I believe that Price, if he comes off the win against Anderson, he will be pumped, and he will play Cross in the semi, which I believe is a good semi-final for Price. And the other semi-final, I don't think I need to explain. It's Van Gerwen versus Humphries. Hedder and Aspinall, they can only reach the semis if MVG or Humphries slip up. Those two players are the ones in control, and they will have the semi-final. And now some might say that's kind of already the final, but I don't think so, because what I think right now is Cross against Price. Actually, two players who've won one world championship and never been in the final another time. But if you go after pure ability, form, what you've seen in the last years, the last months, it is Price. Because I just think that Price can pull off, for the level he can pull off can only be pulled off right now by Van Gerwen or Humphries, and they both in the other draw. Price didn't show it so much, but in the last weeks, months, I don't know. Maybe Van Gerwen's A game is the best in the world, but you also saw what happened in the Player Championship final. So I say if Price, okay, maybe you take in Anderson in that thing, but I say Price with the mentality boost comes through to the final. And who does he play? And that's interesting, because I believe it's another one of those where I believe Van Gerwen would probably edge out Price in the final, but I don't think he'd beat Humphries. I mean, this would be an amazing game probably, and I believe it would be close, but Humphries has just like, I mean, Van Gerwen, it could also be the case that after like bottling this lead in the Players' Championship finals, that he just goes out there and destroys Humphries, but Humphries is too good, and Humphries has won so many majors as of lately, 3 majors in less than 2 months. So I just think that the decisive moments again will be on Humphries' side. It would be a heavy scoring game, and Humphries comes off Van Gerwen and would play in his first World Championship final, and I believe he would be kind of exhausted, way more than Gerwen Price. And despite having the crowd advantage, all that, but when it comes to pure ability, those two are pretty close. And oftentimes you don't play to the highest of abilities in the final when the other player is like on a certain level, when you don't totally destroy him. I feel like Humphries wouldn't be able to outscore Price heavily, to be so much better on doubles, that he would have far lead. I believe it would be a close match, and I believe at some point Price would be gaining the edge because of like the previous games. If I look at the draw with Van Gerwen playing Humphries, I don't say he'd be exhausted really, but it's more of like standing in your first major World Championship final, and I believe that's where Humphries could win against any player except for Price from this bracket. He'd be the clear favorite, but I say against Price it's 50-50, because Price also, he doesn't desperately need it, he wants it a lot, and I think he wants to prove that he's one of the best, and I think that Price, considering this bracket, will be world champion, and he has a lot more room to slip up on his path to the final than Humphries, judging just the pure number of games. Like, of course, Humphries has MVG, and I say if it's Humphries against Price, Price wins. Van Gerven might edge him out, but I say the Iceman wins the World Championship of 2024. It's not that much of a usual pick. Way more will be picking Humphries, I believe, of Van Gerven. But I just see Price being able to use like the draw to his advantage. I really believe he can play to his ability. If he can pull that off, considering all of the other things that go on, he will be on top of the world once again. It's always hard with these predictions, but I think that this is a realistic scenario, realistic enough for sure. Probably we won't see that matchup in the final, of course. There's so many possibilities, but I say it's gonna be Price, but let's see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed that prediction video, and I don't think I will be doing darts content, so don't subscribe if you want to see darts content. But I don't know, maybe we see, or I'll see you in another video. But I hope you have a nice day, and goodbye.